Hey everybody, this is Z Marcel for two. Welcome to another edition of the Gridiron Blitz as we preview the second week of the NFL season coming up tomorrow or today by the time you listen to this show. As always, if you want to follow everything that we do, head to the mothership to sportsinquirer.net, premier site for news and notes in the world of sports. I highly recommend that you go there and check out the archives of our NFL content. We have our preseason predictions, we have the first week of action and predictions. You can see how bad I did as far as the first week goes, and also just some other things that we have in the world of sports. So make sure you head to the site to check that out. You can also go to our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook under Sports Inquirer. Make sure you do a search on there. And when you do a search with that, whenever we do a post, whether it's about the NFL or college football, things related in those natures, we'll get an update whenever we post it. And just make sure you check that out. And we're going to do some live tweeting as well. We'll be home all day tomorrow, or on, we're recording this on the 18th of September, but all week two, we'll be home. We'll be live tweeting the Falcons game against the Bucks. Definitely probably some Chargers against the Cowboys, and some other news and notes in the world of the NFL all during the day. And also the Kansas City Baltimore contest, the Sunday night deal, and then Monday night as well when the Chicago faces, no, it's not Chicago, it's Green Bay and Detroit in that contest on Monday Night Football. So make sure you follow us to keep track of all the stuff that we have going on. And then finally, support our or go to our audio and video host and support us that way as well. You can go to YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes. You do a search on those and follow us. That's where all of our content goes, whether it's video or audio. So that's a great way to keep track of all the things we have going on. Okay, let's get to week two of the NFL action. And in the past, we do all of our picks on the betting line. And I can't remember one successful first week I've ever had as far as picking games. I pick a lot of pick the teams to win, but a lot of times that margin of victory is a thing that tricks you up. And it's even worse this year because of the lack of preseason action we saw from a lot of teams. This was really the first live action that a lot of teams saw as far as the first teamers. I can know firsthand, we're here in Atlanta, Georgia. That was the first time that first team offense really played together, even some of the defenders on the field. It showed when they faced Philadelphia, but they weren't the only team in that type of scenario. So that's why first weeks are very tough for me to make my predictions on. I went 6-9-1, got a push. Cincinnati and Minnesota. Of course, the Cincinnati kicker gets the winning field goal by 3 points in overtime, but the line was 3, so no one wins in that scenario. But 6-9-1, not a very good first week. Let's see how much better we could do in week two. And I got off to a bad start. Well, actually, no, I got for it wasn't a loss. It was another darn tie. No, it was a loss because I picked Washington to win by the -3 over the Giants. They did not win by that margin. Yeah, Washington's a very interesting team. Ryan Fitzpatrick, starting quarterback, out with the hip injury. I was joking, well, not joking with somebody because I'm around the same age as Fitzpatrick, and if I have a bad hip or a bad knee, that's going to be a problem. And he's a professional athlete as quarterback at his advanced age and has a hip problem. That's retirement. I laugh about it in a kind of a joking manner, but I mean, he's going to be okay in life. But that's something as far as him playing in the NFL. He'll come back and try to play, as they say, 6 to 8 weeks. I'm not so sure about that. He might be out for the majority of the season. And also, if Washington continues to get good play from Heineke, the quarterback, the backup, who we saw throw for 300 plus yards against Tampa in the playoffs last year. Remember, that was probably the toughest playoff game for Tampa last season. They won all those road games. They won at Tampa, at New Orleans, Green Bay, and the championship game for the NFC, and obviously the Super Bowl against Kansas City, which technically was on their home field, but for our purposes, that was not a home game. But Washington gave him the toughest battle. That defensive line was able to rush Brady, give him trouble, and Taylor Heineke against that defense, which played so well the rest of the postseason, they really struggled to stop him. He played in that. He's the backup quarterback. He's now the starter in Washington. They were able to earn the victory over the Giants. And we all know how it went down. The game-winning field goal was missed, but Christian Wilkins was offsides. The defensive lineman for the Giants Washington got to re-kick the ball and get the victory. I think you're looking at the Giants situation right now where they're at a crossroads in that franchise. Daniel Jones, who actually, I don't think he had one turnover in the contest, played pretty well, rushed for more yards, second week in a row, more yards than Saquon Barkley. That's not a good sign. But he did not turn the ball over. He played okay, and they still were unable to get the victory over Washington. Now they're 0-2, a division loss on their docket. And I know that's a winnable division because we don't trust Dallas and Washington and Philadelphia to become a 12-13 win type team and run away with the division. But you cannot lose that type of game when it was very winnable for you. And they even had a chance before they got the field goal that took the lead for them before the ultimate Washington field goal. They didn't run enough time off the clock, including that 2-minute drill at the 2-minute warning. And they left a lot of time on the clock for Washington to put themselves in a field goal position. That's not very good. So I think that Washington's 1-1 right now. Remember, they lost the first week to Los Angeles Chargers. That was a very big win for them. They have to get these wins, especially divisional wins, if they want to get to that. I still think 9-8 wins that division. So that was a win for them to do that. Going on to the rest of the games this week that we're going to preview, the passing efforts was the highlight for me from the first week. Jameis Winston had 5 TD passes. Tom Brady, Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson each had 4 TD passes. First time that 4 guys had at least 4 TD passes in the first week of a season since 1970. I think we may continue to see a lot of these offensive outputs for these teams, even guys in losing efforts threw for large amounts of yards. And we'll go over some of those when we go do the preview. But that's a note that we have to keep track of as things get rolling through the second week of action. Cincinnati's a 2.5-point road underdog against Chicago. Evan McPherson, I got to say his name. That's the Cincinnati kicker who made that 33-yard game-winning field goal against Minnesota for the push in last week's contest. Second rookie kicker in NFL history to get a game-winning field goal in the first week of the season with no time remaining in overtime. Jason Sanders did that in 2018. So that's an interesting mark for him to have. I'm going to take the Bengals to cover this game and possibly outright win it. Chicago, I did not like what I saw against the Rams last week. And I know you could say the Rams were jacked up for his home game of the season. Matthew Stafford, the new acquisition, they were revved and ready to go. Chicago did not show me much. Defensively, they didn't do much to stop Stafford. Offensively, I don't know what this infatuation is with Andy Dalton. I see with Garoppolo in San Francisco, him being the incumbent and the starter, and them being very reluctant to go at Trey Lance as the full-time starter. Garoppolo has had success in San Francisco. Led him to a Super Bowl appearance 2 seasons ago. He has commodity there. He got injured last year. He gets injured quite a bit, I know. But he was injured last year. They didn't play very well. I could see them going with Garoppolo as the incumbent and trying to get him back in starting position and get things going. Dalton has none of that commodity with Chicago. I don't know what the obligation is to not play Justin Fields. He's, at this stage, probably the better quarterback, the better option. He's not going to learn on the sidelines. He's going to make mistakes. Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers make mistakes. We saw that in the week 1, especially Aaron Rodgers. He had probably one of his worst games in years. It happens to everybody. You have to roll with the ups and downs of your quarterback, especially if he's a rookie. I don't know why Chicago is so reluctant to go on this travel with Justin Fields as your starting quarterback. And you saw him get in the game and get a touchdown. Not very good situation. Actually, Trey Lance is the one who got in the field and got a touchdown. But still, for San Francisco, I don't understand what the deal is. I think if Cincinnati comes in and plays well, and I like Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, 100 yards receiving in this first contest as a player with Cincinnati as a rookie, I think they looked really solid getting that win. So I'm taking Cincinnati to outright win that contest. I'll go out on a limb and make that one of my choices. Houston is a 12.5-point underdog at Cleveland. Cleveland played really well against Kansas City. Two mistakes, though. The fumbled punt, you got to get that ball off. You can't just run it, give Kansas City red zone field position and not expect them to score. And Baker Mayfield with that interception. 321 passing yards, no touchdowns, though, and then that one crucial interception. Just not enough. Houston's a spunky team. Tyrod Taylor, starting quarterback for them. Remember last year, he was supposed to be a starter for the Chargers. They did that procedure, punctured his lung, and he was out for the rest of the season, or he didn't get to play again because Justin Herbert came into the lineup and did really good things. So this is another chance for Tyrod Taylor to be a starting quarterback. The Deshaun Watson situation, I don't want to say it's silly, but we don't know what's going on there. But Taylor played really well. I mean, it was Jacksonville, but they played really well. They have some confidence. Cleveland wins this game, but that's a very large number for me to put for the Browns to win by that big of an amount. The Rams are a 3.5-point favorite at Indy. I have the Colts covering. Well, no, I have the Rams not covering this contest and taking Indy as the home underdog plus 3.5. The Rams, I said, they had a perfect first game. Stafford looked really good. You had the defense do a lot of bad things, cause problems for Chicago. That was on Sunday Night Football, new stadium. That was like an A-plus effort. And now they got to turn around and go on the road and face the Indianapolis team, which I still think has double-digit win potential. That's a tough contest. I'm going to take Indianapolis to win that deal, or at least make it under their Rams aren't going to win by 3.5. Buffalo is a 3-point road favorite against Miami. Now, Buffalo did have their struggles last week against Pittsburgh. The offense looked sluggish. Now, TJ Watt getting 2 sacks for Pittsburgh and causing a lot of pressure. That'll do that to any offense. And Josh Allen had 270 yards passing, 1 touchdown. Just not the most 51 passing attempts. That's a lot of throws. I know that their running game is not that strong, and Allen, he's a running quarterback himself at times. He can get yardage, but that's a lot of passing attempts. I expect a little bit more balance in that effort. And Miami, it just can go either way. Miami, big win last week at New England. Tua looked okay. Defensively, they did enough to limit Mac Jones and the New England offense doing that 1-point win. But I think Buffalo goes there and gets a win by more than a field goal and earns the win for the Bills. The Jets are a 6-point underdog against New England at home. I think the Jets lose this game, but less than 6 points. New England does not cover. I got to get the proper terminology down if I'm doing all this gambling talk. Look, I thought Mac Jones was solid in that contest in the opener against the Dolphins. 281 passing yards, 1 touchdown. It was a late fumble in the red zone that cost the Patriots a big way in that contest. I just don't know what their offense is. They lack explosion. A lot of short passes, a lot of 5-yard routes. I mean, that's good, and you do limit the opportunity for turnovers and limit mistake potential. But still, I got to see a lot more dynamic aspects of that offense for me to have them winning on the road against. I know the Jets may be the worst team in the NFL, but they're still at home. I don't know if New England can win by 6 points. That's a tough one. Eagles are a 3-point underdog at home against San Francisco. I'm going to take the Eagles in this contest. I watched that contest pretty closely with Eagles where they defeated the Falcons. Of course, we covered the Falcons, Metro Atlanta. And the lines of scrimmage, I was really impressed by their efforts. Now, the Falcons' lines of scrimmage may be one of the 3 or 4 worst in the NFL. When you look at offensive and defensive line, if you combine them together as line play, Falcons are in the bottom half, maybe bottom 5 in the NFL. But the Eagles were able to run the ball. They were able to get Jalen Hurts very comfortable running and throwing the ball. Defensively, they caused a lot of problems for Matt Ryan and the Falcons in that contest, multiple sacks. I think that the Eagles will be a very game opponent against San Francisco, who it was like a tale of 2 halves. Looked really good in the first half, led by double digits at Detroit, but let Detroit back into the game, and Detroit was down 1 possession with the ball late in that contest. They could have tied it up. They did not do it. But I think San Francisco, I still think they're a good team. I have Seattle winning the division, but I have the 49ers as a playoff team. But I think this is a tough cross country trip. And I think the Eagles find a way to get this one. Pittsburgh is a 6-point favorite at home against Las Vegas. We all saw that Raiders game against Baltimore, a lot of activity going on there, a lot of back and forth. The Raiders, I think they exhausted a lot of energy getting that victory over the Ravens. And for them to go cross country to face the Steelers, a Steelers team that I think eyes that division as I had Cleveland winning the division, but Pittsburgh looks at it as all the other teams in that division are, oh, well, Cincinnati, to be fair, is 1-0 as well. But Cleveland lost their opener. Baltimore lost their opener. The Steelers can find a way to be up 2 games against their 2 biggest competitors in that division. No disrespect, well, a little bit of disrespect to the Bengals. So I think they find if they win this game, they put themselves in a pretty good position in that division. And I mentioned all the superlatives of what they did well against Buffalo. I have them winning that contest. New Orleans is a 3.5-point favorite at Carolina. Winston looked great for the Saints. 14 for 20, 5 touchdown passes, no interceptions. That's as good as he maybe can play in his career against Green Bay. I think there's going to be a little bit of a letdown now having to face Carolina, who it was the Jets, so not many people pay attention to it. But Carolina had a good game against the Jets, played good defense. Christian McCaffrey, when he's healthy, and he's coming into the season healthy, we don't know how that's going to last to the end of the year, but he had 187 scrimmage yards in that contest and the victory. I think he continues to do that against New Orleans. And Carolina makes it really, really tough. I think a late field goal by New Orleans could do it for him, but that's less than the 3.5 points that the margin is. Denver is a 6-point favorite at Jacksonville. I think the Jaguars make it close, and the Denver does not cover in that contest. So Trevor Lawrence threw for 332 yards in his NFL debut in that road loss to Houston. They're going to put up some points. I think they're going to put up a lot of yards. Their defense, not so inspiring, but I think that they can make this very interesting against Denver. And good win by the Broncos last week, winning at the New York Giants. Now I have to go to Jacksonville. Teddy Bridgewater had a good game against the Giants. I don't know if you can do that 2 weeks in a row. I think Denver still wins the contest, but 6 points is a lot to ask, I think, at this stage. Arizona's a 3.5-point favorite at home against Minnesota. It's crazy. I picked the Cardinals to finish 4th in that division, and they still might win 7 games. That's how stacked that division is. Now they're going to face each other and they're going to knock each other off. But I think there could be a lot of splits in there, and those teams are going to win a lot of their non-division games. But Arizona, I saw them as a dark horse to win the division. If you had that pick, you couldn't ask more from them than that Arizona contest. Kyler Murray, 289 passing yards, 4 TDs, only 1 interception, had a rushing TD as well. He was able to be elusive, didn't run the ball too much. Chandler Jones, 5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, defensive player of the week, maybe one of the better defensive efforts regular season wise you're ever going to see in that victory. I think they win that contest pretty handily over Minnesota, who I have no faith in. They're not even a playoff team for me at all. I mean, Chicago's my playoff team out of the NFC North, Long Green Bay winning the division, so how much do I know? But I don't have any faith in Minnesota right now. And losing that game against Cincinnati, I know it was on the road, but you cannot lose that game. And I just have no faith in Minnesota, or minimal faith. So I think Arizona, they continue the good times against Minnesota. Arizona continues playing well at home against Minnesota. Atlanta's a 12.5-point underdog against Tampa. Tampa wins the game, but I'm taking Atlanta to the plus 12.5. That is a lot of points. And I know Brady likes to. I know they like to run the ball, run the score up, and be very aggressive offensively. They're going to be at home again, but Atlanta has to have some type of will or desire to not get showed up again 2 weeks in a row. That Philadelphia game was not very good at all for them. And the line play I know is not going to improve in a week. And they got to face Pierre Paul and Vita Villa and Ndamukong Suh. I even saying that, wow, they may give up 6, 7 sacks in this contest. But I think that 12 and a half points is a lot to ask for a team to win by, even at home. And I know that the looks are not very good for Atlanta, and Tampa's coming off that season opening win over Dallas. But take Atlanta plus 12 and a half. The Chargers are 3.5 point favorite at home over Dallas. Take the Chargers. I have no faith in Dallas right now. At least they still can win the division, but in this contest, coming off that tough loss against Tampa, let's see who's out now. Dexter Lawrence is not Dexter Lawrence. Yeah, Dexter Lawrence. He's now out with a broken foot. We don't know about. I guess Zach Martin says he's going to play with the COVID. He's coming back from that. Randy Gregory, he might not be available. Dallas is a wounded team right now, and that's just not a good situation for them overall. Dak Prescott, I think, gets some good yardage, and Ezekiel Elliott, they just lack that balance. And it's not like Zeke has to go for 100, 150 yards like when he first came into the NFL for Dallas to be successful. But you can't go for, I think, 11 rushes and 30-ish yards. Can't have that. That's not going to be a good scenario for Dallas the rest of the way. I think he's too good of a talent to do that every week. But I think I keep saying San Diego, the LA Chargers, they have their defense. We all talk about Justin Herbert and all of his success, but defensively with Bosa, and they have a lot of talent on that defense. I think they can win this by a touchdown. And the line is 3.5. They win by a touchdown. We cover that one and we win it. Seattle's a 6 point favorite at home against Tennessee. Take the Seahawks. They're at home. Russell Wilson, 4 TD passes, no picks last week. He's playing really well right now. Lockett and Metcalf, his receivers, they're all in sync right now. Tennessee, Mike Vrabel calling out Julio Jones. I think Falcon fans got a kick out of that because Julio Jones had some commitment issues, and I think some other things going on with the Falcons, and Falcon fans are like, yeah, we knew what was going on there. But I think that them going to Seattle, that's going to be a very tough situation for Tennessee. And I think that Seattle can win this game by a good margin, more than 6 points. Kansas City is a 3.5 point favorite at Baltimore. Man, Baltimore's a good team, and they're a 3.5 point. So they're pretty much saying, because if you're the home team, you get about 2-3 points on the line. They're saying that Kansas City is a touchdown more better than Baltimore. That's a lot of points, and I think it's very close. Baltimore, you got to figure that, but they play that same. Said all that stuff about Las Vegas. Baltimore was in that contest as well. Very tough Monday night, short turnaround. I know it's a night game, so the turnaround is not as harsh. I'm gonna take Kansas City to win this game. If I pick them to win it, it's gonna be by more than 3.5 points. I think they just have the better quarterback, the better offense. Defensively, Baltimore may be a slight tick better, but they let Derek Carr, they let Carr throw for a lot of yards and have a clean pocket a good amount of times in that contest. If they catch struggles stopping Las Vegas's offense, Kansas City is going to tear them up too. So I take Kansas City to win that contest. And then finally, to wrap up the week, Green Bay is an 11-point favorite at home against Detroit. Green Bay wins this game, and Aaron Rodgers, he's going to bounce back. He's not going to play as bad as he did. And I've said before, I question his commitment and the passive aggressiveness and the woe is me, and I want to retire, but I don't want to. And this last dance, the melodrama or drama that comes with Aaron Rodgers, he's still MVP last year, one of the top 4 or 5 players in the entire league. He's going to be at home Monday night. He's going to want to have a big game after that first week bad contest. I still think Detroit plus 11. Green Bay wins the game, but I still see Detroit finding a way to keep it close. Maybe Green Bay gets a late TD to get it to double digits, but that 11 points, that 1 point is something that I don't think that they get to. I think Green Bay wins it by 7, maybe 9. But that 11, it just doesn't scare me, but it's something that I've thought about. And I think Detroit finds a way to make Green Bay not cover that contest. All right, thanks for listening to the show. The picks are ready. You see them on with the post, or if you're listening to this on some other platform, go to our website, sportsinquirer.net. We'll actually have these picks listed and written so you can kind of follow along with the show as you're listening to it. And just thanks for listening to us. Go to our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook under the Sports Inquirer. And then finally, go to our audio and video host, such as SoundCloud, YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and others. Until next time, good fight, good night, and be safe.